Now let's pick up at slide number 23. So let's talk about how to determine the key from a key signature. Now, actually, using the circle of fifths, if you were to memorize the circle of fifths, then you would be able to determine the key from a key signature like that. Now, there are other ways to do this, though, too. So, if that's too daunting of a task, keep these kind of little tricks in mind. So, in key signatures with sharps, the tonic of the scale, remember what's the tonic? The tonic is the first degree of the scale. It also ends up being the name of the key. So the tonic of the scale is located a half step above the last sharp to the right. All right, so if we're looking at, as we see here on slide number 23, a key signature with 3 sharps, look at the last sharp. And what is the last sharp in a key signature with 3 sharps? Well, we see here a bass clef, and we see the last sharp is in the 4th space, if we're looking at the 4 spaces, right? And if you're a good music student, you would know that that 4th space is the G space, right? In fact, it's this one here, right? And so that's a G sharp. Now, what's a half step to the right of this last sharp? A half step to the right from G sharp is A, right? So this is the key of A. So all you do, take that last sharp in the key signature, find it, and go a half step above that. That's A. Okay? You can do that with any sharp key. For example, if you have 2 sharps in your key signature, I know that the last sharp is going to be C, right? C sharp, in fact, right here, sorry. And to the right of, a half step to the right of C sharp is D, right? And so that key signature, that tells me this is the key of D, okay? Okay, now let's go to the next slide, 24. Now, if we see flats comprising our key signature, here's what you can do to figure out what key it is. So if we see, for example, 3 flats here, as we do on slide 24, we're going to want to look for the flat sign that is next to the last flat sign. So we don't want to look at the very last flat sign. We want to look at the one that is to the that's next to the last flat sign. So in this one, what do we see? We see 3 flats on slide 24, and I know that because I've been a good music student, I know that the next to last flat sign is in the 4th space on the treble clef, and I know that 4th space is E, right? And if there's a flat sign there, I know that it's going to be this E flat here. And so the tonic is actually that next to last flat sign. And so that's going to be E flat. So if I see these 3 flats, I know, oh, that's the key of E flat, because the next to last flat sign is E. And you can do that with any flat sign, right? Say you have 2 flats in your key signature. What's going to be the next to last flat? Well, I happen to know that would be B flat, right? Because I know that the order of flats goes B flat, E flat. And so the next to last flat is going to be B flat, right? Because if we have B flat and then E flat, B flat is the next to last flat. And so a key signature with 2 flats, therefore, would be the key of B flat, right? Or it would indicate the key of B flat. Okay, moving on, slide number 25. A little bit more about this topic. Keep in mind, all flat keys have tonics, or in other words, they have names like you see a pitch letter with the word flat next to it. So you see like B flat or E flat or A flat or D flat or G flat or C flat, except the key of F. Remember, the key of F has a flat sign, has one flat sign, but we don't call it the key of F flat. Okay, we just call it the key of F. So you just kind of have to, when you're memorizing your key signatures and how many sharps or flats and things like that, just got to remember the key of F just has one flat. Just kind of a little bit of a difference there. Okay, moving on to slide number 26. Now we're going to talk about something called the dominant. So we've talked about the tonic before, right? Now the dominant is kind of related to the dominant is kind of related to the tonic. Before we give a formal definition, let's talk about Three Blind Mice again. So if we were to go through Three Blind Mice on page 276 in our book, we'd notice that there are 48 notes in the song. Now, you can count that if you want. You don't have to. I didn't. I'm just going to take the book's word for it. So there would be 48 total notes in Three Blind Mice. And if we wanted to break this down further, we wanted to really analyze Three Blind Mice, we'd notice that C occurs, the pitch C occurs 13 times out of those 48 times. We notice that D occurs only 3 times out of those 48 times. And you can see this laid out here on slide 26, so I won't go through every one of them. But let's do notice that the G, the 5th scale degree, in other words, occurs 13 times, right? Just as much as the tonic, right? So that should tell us something. It seems like a fairly important, just by the number of occurrences, important pitch in Three Blind Mice. So just keep that in mind here. Moving on to slide 27. This scale degree, this 5th scale degree, in this case G in Three Blind Mice, is as common as the tonic. And we call the 5th scale degree the dominant. Okay? All right. And so let's move on to slide 28 here. So the tonic and dominant are the 2 foundation tones of music based on major scales. So these 2 pitches, I mean the tonic and the dominant, remember the tonic is the 1st scale degree, the dominant is the 5th scale degree now. So knowing this will kind of help guide you as you improve your skills in reading music. So we're going to keep these ideas in mind as we move throughout this course, the tonic and dominant. Okay, moving on to slide 29, our last topic for this chapter. We can talk about something called solfege. So solfege syllables are a convenient system for keeping the tonic and dominant in mind when singing. And we're going to practice this a little bit in just shortly. So the names, these names for the tones of the scale, which we're calling solfege, were invented long ago. Perhaps as early as the 11th century, right? The thousands. And served musicians well, really ever since. I guess it says 800 years, but we're still using them today. So so the solfege syllables go like this. So if we look at we have a C major scale here on slide 29, right? And each one of them is assigned a syllable. So if we look at C, we could say do, right? Do. In fact, we just want to sing it. And then and then our next scale degree, re, and then moving on, mi, and so on, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? So we have our do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Okay, notice especially that the tonic is do and the dominant is sol. Okay, all right, moving on to our last slide, number 30. Okay, so an alternative system for keeping the tonic and dominant in mind is to just use scale degrees. So scale degree 1, as we've talked about before, in a C major scale, C is going to be the tonic, or 1, right? Scale degree 1. Scale degree 5, right? If we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is going to be the dominant, all right? So in music, we have a couple of different ways for kind of organizing these pitch relationships. So singing melodies using solfege syllables, like that do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, or scale degree numbers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, may help you kind of keep these pitch relationships of the scale in mind as you're singing a melody. Let's practice this. Let's take Three Blind Mice. And let's sing it, how about first, with scale degrees. Let's try it. For scale degree 7, I'm just going to sing sev instead, because it's a little awkward if you do 7 when you're singing. So Three Blind Mice with scale degrees would go like this. So we're going to start off on E, which is scale degree 3. So we'll go 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 5, 4, 4, 3, 5, 4, 4, 3, 5. We'll go 8, 8, 8, sev, 6, sev, 8, 5, 5, 5, 8, 8, 8, sev, 6, sev, 8, 5, 5, 5, 5, sev, 8, 8, sev, 6, sev, 8, 5, 5, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right, that wasn't perfect, but it was pretty close. Now let's sing it with solfege syllables. So remember, the third scale degree, or E in the key of C at least, is going to be mi, right? So I'll go, let's see here, we go mi, re, do, mi, re, do, so, fa, fa, mi, so, fa, fa, mi, so, do, do, si, la, si, do, so, do, do, si, la, si, do, so, do, si, la, si, do, so, fa, mi, re, do. Okay. Also, I noticed there, I was singing C instead of T for the 7th scale degree. I guess that's the way I learned it. I learned a slightly different system. So I guess that's just kind of ingrained in my memory. But you can do T or C for the 7th scale degree. Maybe actually we'll just do T from now on, because that's what this book recommends. All right, so that's it for chapter 6.